Oh yes, it's bugbear time, everybody. Bugbears are one of those creatures that make you scratch your head when you hear of them and then see them for the first time. Because they are neither bugs nor bears, as much as I wish they were. My first encounter with them actually wasn't Dungeons & Dragons itself, but a collaboration between Dungeons & Dragons and the game Heroescape. Shout out if you know Heroescape. Needless to say, I was very confused. And as to why these large goblins are called bugbears, we will uncover later in this spotlight. A hint, though, is that the world of Dungeons & Dragons originally pulled its lore and idea of them straight from European folklore. Bugbears have been around since the very first monster manual. Over the decades, the bugbear has changed lore and appearances until we find ourselves in the 2014 monster manual. Bugbears might be one of the first big baddies that any adventurer faces, as they are tough enough to prove a challenge, still weak enough to be beaten at early levels. Of course, this can all change depending on how the DM wishes to use them. Bugbears are also unique for being a playable race. As early as the 2nd edition, there were stat blocks to be used to turn yourself into one of the more interesting races in the Dungeons & Dragons world. Now everyone can truly enjoy what it's like to be a bugbear, because 5e really fleshed out bugbears as a playable race. In this Monster Spotlight, we'll be taking a closer look at everything you need to know about the bugbear. Its lore, its ecology, its biology, and the real history of the bugbear found in European folklore. With all this information put together, we can create an immersive encounter that will be sung in the taverns for centuries to come. Let's open up the 2014 5e Monster Manual to build our foundation before we see how interesting bugbears really are. Bugbears were originally designed to be big goblins, a mix between a cunning goblinoid and the strength of a bear, and I am all for it. It is super cool. Though, this picture of the 1E bugbear is top notch. These things are awesome. A female bugbear was introduced in 4E, of which we will talk about later when we talk about bugbear reproduction. In the lore we read, bugbears are born for battle and mayhem. Surviving by raiding and hunting, they bully the weak and despise being bossed around. That's an understatement. But their love of carnage means they will fight for powerful masters if bloodshed and treasure are assured. Goblinoids. Bugbears are often found in the company of their cousins, hobgoblins and goblins. Bugbears usually enslave goblins they encounter, and they bully hobgoblins into giving them gold and food in return for serving as scouts and shock troops. In the earlier versions, by the way, bugbears were more inclined to eat them than anything else. Even when paid, bugbears are, at best, unreliable allies. Yet goblins and hobgoblins understand that no matter how much bugbears might drain a tribe of resources, these creatures are a potent force. Followers of Rugek. Bugbears worship Rugek, a lesser god who dwells in the plain of Eberron. In the absence of the goblinoid kin, bugbears form loose war bands, each one led by its fiercest member. Bugbears believe that when they die, their spirits have a chance to fight at Rugek's side, which kind of reminds me of Vikings. They try to prove themselves worthy by defeating as many foes as possible. Venal ambushers. Despite their intimidating builds, bugbears move with surprising stealth. They are fond of setting ambushes and flee when outmatched. They are dependable mercenaries as long as they are supplied food, drink, and treasure. That's fair. But a bugbear forgets any bond when his life is on the line. A wounded member of a bugbear band, well, that's fun, bugbear band, might be left behind to help the rest of the band escape. Afterward, that bugbear might help pursuers track down its former companions, if doing so saves its life. Let's take a look at the monster sheet. There are two variations here, the bugbear and then the bugbear chief. And normally, when you think of a brutish monster or race like an ogre or a troll, you think very powerful, but really, really dumb. Ogres have an intelligence of 5, and trolls have an intelligence of 7. Great for bashing things, not so great at much else. Bugbears are different though. A regular bugbear only has an intelligence level of 8, but it has a wisdom stat of 11. Even scarier is the bugbear chieftain that combines that with an intelligence of 11. The reason for this, and for their stealth, will be explained in the biology and ecology section. There is so much to get to beyond what is written here. Bugbears have surprisingly deep style of play and lore. They are not bland at all. Bugbears are medium humanoid/goblinoid, but have all the benefits of a large entity, having longer reach and carrying weight capacity. They have an alignment of chaotic evil, which makes sense as they smash and grab whatever they can. Their AC is 16, with the chieftain being 1 higher at 17. Some extra detail here is that bugbears are opportunistic hunters. This includes gathering gear. Bugbears don't craft their own gear, preferring to take what's theirs from others instead. Weaklings don't need this gear anyway. 27 hit points is okay, and speed is normal. In the skills section, however, we got stealth plus 6 for a brute, which is really interesting, and survival plus 2, because bugbears are like heavy-hitting rangers. Dark vision, like almost everything else, and a perception and a passive perception of 10, which ties in nicely. The chieftain has 1 point more in each of these, but also has the added skill of intimidation. The bugbear has a challenge rating of 1, while the chieftain has a challenge rating of 3. Moving on down to the abilities of the bugbear, Brute and Surprise Attack are an awesome combo. Brute, a melee weapon, deals 1 extra die of its damage when the bugbear hits with it, included in the attack. Surprise Attack. If the bugbear surprises a creature and hits it with an attack during the first round of combat, the target takes an extra 7 2d6 damage from the attack. They can hit hard. The Bugbear Chief adds some lore flavor into its abilities. Heart of Ruggick, one of their deities, the Bugbear has advantage on saving throws against being charmed, frightened, paralyzed, poisoned, stunned, or put to sleep. This plays in so smoothly with the trap laying and ambush hunting style of the Bugbears. It can come out of the bushes and really surprise your players and then hit them really hard with this brutal combo. Imagine what any creature with the brute ability can do if that melee weapon is really high statted, adding in that extra die. Every blow would add so much more damage. Actions. This leads us into the weapons of a bugbear. Volo's Guide to Monsters says that bugbears refuse to use ranged weapons other than a javelin, so I guess not technically like a ranger in playstyle. The javelin gives some nice versatility here, and reach, as well as the Morning Star and really anything that hits really hard they like to use. The Bugbear Chief has a multi-attack, which definitely ups that damage output with that brute ability. One of my favorite parts about doing these monster spotlights is seeing where they originally came from. Some are D&D originals, but a lot of creatures that we find in the D&D universe, and even across all fantasy media, actually come from history in all different regions of the world. The bugbear is taken from medieval European folklore. Alright, it's time to answer that burning question. Why bugbear? There are 3 possibilities, all having to do with etymology. Middle English, the form of English spoken between the 11th and 15th centuries, used the word bug, B-U-G-G-E, to denote something that is frightening. Old Welsh had the word bug, B-W-G, meaning an evil spirit or goblin. Old Scots had bogle, also meaning goblin, and is connected to the English words bogeyman or boogeyman and bugaboo. Catherine Briggs, in her book, A Dictionary of Fairies, Hobgoblins, Brownies, Bogies, and Other Supernatural Creatures, states that bugbears, amongst other related words, are treated as nursery bogies, using to scare children into obedience. The word isn't necessarily a specific creature, but is used in a general sense. In an Italian play called The Bugbear, published in 1565, however, they do take the shape of a scary bear that lurks in the woods, waiting for children to pass by. While there isn't much else on the Bugbear in history, it explains the direction Dungeons & Dragons went with it. Taking the words bug and boggle, signifying goblin, and mixing it with a bear to create the large, bear-like goblins, a bugbear. It goes further than that, however. This idea of a large and scary creature waiting in the woods to catch kids unaware explains the lore and style that bugbears play. Stealthy, trap-laying ambush predators, waiting to jump your players. The ecology and biology of a bugbear. There's a lot to unpack here, so let's just start with the basics. According to the Forgotten Realms wiki, bugbears are roughly 6 to 8 feet, 1.8 to 2.4 meters tall. They weigh around 250 to 350 pounds, or 110 to 160 kilograms, and live up to 80 years. Up until 4E, we had a problem. There were no female bugbears, so there was scarce information on how they reproduced. All the males rejoice, however, at their introduction in 4E. Bugbears do not mate often, resulting in a small population, and that's about it. Bugbears can be found in any climate, but prefer temperate above all else. Their favorite terrain is mountains and living underground, and I'd probably add forests into that as well. They live in small tribes or gangs, as they're called, no larger than 12 bugbears, and they dig dens as their living spaces. Contrary to what one might believe due to their brutish natures, bugbears are ambushers and trappers at heart. This dichotomy, I think, is what makes the bugbears so special. They are large, hard-hitting creatures that can ambush players out of nowhere, taking anyone out in an instant. We already learned about why they have a stealthy playstyle from history, but this is further explained in Volo's Guide to Monsters on pages 44 to 54, and has to do with the gods of the bugbears. In 2E, bugbears have a more extensive pantheon. Rugek is the main bugbear god, but not necessarily the ruler of other bugbear gods. Each one of them has an agreement to leave each other alone. Rugek is known to be a battle god, but not in large battles where enemies pit themselves against one another in war. Smaller battles and duels that pick off other groups of creatures or humans are more like the bugbear style due to their stealth and low numbers as a race. Gronkle was the god who gave bugbears their stealth, and perhaps their curse for needing long periods of sleep, just like a bear. According to bugbear legends, Gronkle is said to sap the energy of bugbears to bypass the need for sleep. He taught that despite their size, bugbears should be quick, cunning, and silent. Skigaret is a demon god of fear, said to be the messenger of Rugek and Gronkle. Skigaret is believed to instill madness and dread on those who provoke the ire of the bugbear gods. However, if one can withstand this cold grip of fear, they will be strengthened beyond the others. Volo's Guide to Monsters changed a lot about the bugbears, and not necessarily in a bad way. Rugek and Gronkle are now brothers, with Rugek being the eldest. Maglabet, ruler of the goblin gods, captured the brothers, but spared their lives as he realized the great benefit the bugbears provide to goblin warbands. Bugbears respect the call to arms on behalf of Rugek and Gronkle, but that doesn't stop them from leeching as much gold and goods as possible from goblins in return for their service. Skigaret is now a boogeyman, which is ironic. That is the explanation for acts of cowardice and selfishness when in a state of maddening fear. His name is not to be spoken. Priests are no longer necessary in worshipping the gods. Any sort of brutality will do. And if you are a little squeamish, prepare yourself. Taking the heads of enemies and putting them on a spike are a way of honoring their gods, as it is said that Rugek surrounds himself with spiked heads in his den that call out in warning when enemies are near. To add to this, They will also sometimes sew the eyelids open, paying homage to the eternally sleepless Gronkle. Any gang of bugbears that gain the favor of the gods this way may get the boon of having the head screech when enemies are near, just like in Rogek's Den. This can also be used as a fear tactic to gain needed information from enemies. A funny side note that I really liked, as mentioned in Volo's Guide to Monsters, as a hint on how to defeat bugbears, is that since the heads can speak messages from the gods, if a player can in any way make the heads speak or pretend to speak, bugbears will follow any order given. I would be remiss not to briefly mention the bugbears' interactions with their goblin cousins. There is a ton of information on this, however, so feel free to check out Volo's Guide to Monsters to see more of this. As mentioned, bugbears will work together, albeit begrudgingly, with goblins. Bugbears will be put in charge as chiefs or captains, used as honor guards for VIPs, shock troops to disrupt enemy front lines with massive bulwark shields and weaponry, or in a more delicate way, serve as assassins due to their inherent gift of stealth. Anytime the food and money runs out though, goblins could very well be on the menu. Reading about how bugbears wish to join Rogek in battle, the way they are used as shock troops in an army, and gaining strength whenever overcoming Skigaret's touch, makes me want to play as a bugbear berserker. Thank you for watching and listening, everyone. Are bugbears one of your favorites? Feel free to share any favorite bugbear stories you have from your games down below. Like and subscribe if you're inclined to do so, and I'll see you all in the next one.